I'm Katie.
And I'm Luke.
And today we're making...
I don't know why I did that.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Luke.
And today we're making
risotto.
Isn't risotto really hard to make?
No, risotto is very easy to make. People think it's hard to make, and that's why people don't make it at home. That's why you see risotto on a lot of fancy restaurant menus. Not because it is in and of itself fancy, but because people are intimidated to make it at home.
Well, so why do you think people are intimidated by it?
Risotto requires a lot of stirring. It requires a lot of looking after for like 15 to 20 minutes while it's coming together. And so I think people think that because of that, it is a hard dish and a finicky dish to make at home. But it's really not.
It's not?
It's not. And we're gonna show you. Okay, so we have all of our ingredients ready. So we've got some onion. So this is like one small onion, like a medium-sized dice on that. We've got some butter, 32 ounces of chicken stock, 4 ounces of white wine, a dry white wine. This is Pinot Grigio. And we've got the star of the show, 1 cup of Arborio rice. It's very short grain rice. You're not gonna be able to see that, but it's very short grain rice. And that is gonna give us the starchy, creamy consistency that we're looking for here. You can probably use just about any short grain rice. This isn't anything fancy. I think this is actually grown in Texas. You could go and spend a lot of money on a really nice Italian grown rice, but you don't have to get fancy for this one. So we got this on a medium-low fire. We're gonna sweat these onions. Throw about 2 tablespoons of butter in there. All right, so that butter is starting to melt. So we're gonna throw in our onions and we're sweating them. The object of this is to sweat them. We don't want any color developing on the onions. It shouldn't sizzle too much when you throw the onions in there. We're gonna go ahead and put some salt on these onions to help them break down a little bit. It's always important to season as you're going so that you're building up those layers of flavor. Because if I don't put any salt in this until it's done, just dumping salt on top of it, it's not gonna have any flavor.
So how do I know that a sweated onion is done?
It'll go translucent. No color, but you'll be able to see through it. That's how you know that it's done. It'll become a ghost onion.
A ghost onion and it'll ghosty.
See how it's not crazy loud? Like it's definitely sizzling in that butter, but it's not popping and browning and all that.
Popping and browning. That's what the real cooks do. They're like, yeah, alright, okay.
You know why they do that?
For maximum distance.
When you have a lot of stuff in a pan, it's hard to move around with a spatula, so you're also agitating the pan in the opposite direction, pushing and pulling the pan while you're stirring.
Yeah, totally knew that. They're like buttery onions. What's the point of getting them translucent?
So that they're soft.
So
you don't want crunchy onions. You want the flavor of the onion, but you don't want to be gnawing on onions.
Does it just, whenever you do this, does it concentrate the flavor or does it cook the flavor out?
It concentrates the flavor.
By cooking the water out.
You're cooking the water out, correct.
You're smart!
Okay, so our onions are where we want them. They did get a little bit of color on them, that's okay, but we're not caramelizing the onions. And they are translucent now. So we're gonna add in 1 cup of rice. This is a very basic recipe. We'll show you how to kind of make it your own. We're gonna kind of spice it up at the end. All right, so the rice is in there. Let it toast for just a second. And then we're gonna add in 4 ounces of dry white wine. Like I said, this is Pinot Grigio. So we're gonna let this go until all that liquid is gone.
So wine is there for flavor?
Yeah, the wine's there for flavor. So it's adding another layer of flavor.
Grapey goodness.
Sure. It'll be nice and acidic, and it'll cut through like the cheesiness of it.
Ah.
Also, we're adding Parmesan cheese. I'm pretty sure I forgot to say that.
That's good.
Okay, you see how all that white wine is gone now? There's no residual liquid in the pan. And now, we're gonna move on to adding our stock. We warmed this up before. Ideally, you would leave it on the stove, but I pulled this off because we're cooking over here. So we're just gonna add this one ladle at a time. Same thing with the white wine. We're gonna let this absorb. Now what you don't want is for this to be ice cold because it's gonna bring down the temperature and the pan's gonna have to rebound, the whole dish is gonna have to rebound, and it's just gonna take longer. So we're gonna keep stirring it.
Just keep stirring, just keep, whoopsies.
Whoopsies. I'm gonna add in some salt now since the rice doesn't have any, just a pinch. Finish seasoning at the end. We're building our base right now. See how it looks glossy? That's the starch coming out of it. Most of that liquid is absorbed. The liquid that is there is really cloudy with the starch now. So we're gonna go ahead and add in another scoop.
I'm a real chef, a chefette. Oh, my hand already hurts. This is not for the faint at heart.
And so a trick with this too, you don't have to stir it constantly. So when you get tired of stirring it, shake the pan. And that'll also help those rice, it'll also help the rice rub together and shake some of that starch off. Because that's what we're doing by stirring it. We're keeping them in constant contact. They're rubbing up against each other. They're letting go of that starch. So when you cook rice in a rice cooker, all that starch is left on the rice because you're not agitating it. That's why when you cook rice, like for, I don't know, if you're cooking rice for gumbo, you don't want to stir the rice because then it becomes
gummy, and it becomes nasty, and it all sticks together.
But that's exactly what we want in this dish, except it's in a controlled environment. So we're suspending it in the entire mixture, and it's giving us a creamy texture.
I'd be curious to hear how many of you have had risotto before and what you thought about it.
And if you made it or went and got it at a restaurant.
It's true. I've never had it until we met, when you made it.
Yeah, it's really easy.
So all of that is gonna go in here?
Yep. We're gonna use as much as it needs, I'll say that. But yeah, most of this is going in there.
This looks like really gross cottage cheese now.
Really gross cottage cheese. And you can just see it getting creamier and creamier the whole time too. And so the texture we're going for here is al dente. You don't want to overcook the rice. It's a tragedy. What is that thing?
So sad.
Yeah, see, so it's absorbed most of the liquid. So we're gonna add in some more.
So I guess you can tell when to add the liquid whenever it kind of starts to sizzle. There's more of the dry pan on the bottom.
Right, so it's sort of a signal like, okay, now it needs some more. And that's the thing about this, I'm not gonna tell you, all right, after 2 minutes, add more liquid.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
It looks
go
like
off
it
the
needs
eye.
liquid. At a certain point, you're like, oh gosh, this is about to fry up. You're gonna learn cooking intuition here.
Be careful not to burn the rice as well.
That would not be intuitive, big dummy.
God. What do you do? Oh, what is that? Hey, beer me that coffee.
Coffee pepper.
You're gonna lose that little onion boy.
Where?
There, on the edge. I'm an onion on the edge.
I'm on the edge of the pan, and I'm hanging on with all of my onion self.
What was that?
My onion self. Oh yeah, ready to cook in.
Hashtag cooking.
Anybody want to know why I don't have an apron? I don't know either.
Okay, first of all, I did not buy myself this apron. It was a Father's Day present. Don't come at me like,
Oh, why don't I have one of those things? Tell everybody! Huh? Tell them! Maybe I'll graduate as a little dropout chef mini junior.
Dropout
And
Chef Mini Junior?
I can get an apron too.
Your goal in life is to be a mini junior.
This is scaring me.
Why is it scaring you?
It just feels like it's too hot.
It's not.
It's bubbling.
We definitely don't want it too high because we don't want the liquid to evaporate before the rice can absorb it. But this is good.
It's like simmering. Oh, we're
So
cooking.
it's gonna take a few minutes for each ladleful to be absorbed. That's why we gotta keep stirring it. There's a lot of starch in here. Starch is sticky.
Sticky starch, sticky starch, sticky, sticky, sticky starch. This looks what I think Goldilocks and Three Bears were eating.
Porridge.
Porridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Ricey porridge.
Yeah.
Porridge, as the French would say.
They say what?
Porridge.
So we used about half of our broth now. We just added more in, so it's a little soupy right now. But we're moving along nicely.
Moving in and shaking. The little rice boys.
So like I said, this is a very basic recipe. We're gonna show you how to church it up a little at the end.
Zhuzh it up. Give it the hotness, the heatness. Yo, 1-2 punch.
Give him the heater.
I'm on the zhuzh. I'm here for the party. Girl.
He works hard for the party, so hard for it, Marty.
Marty McFly. Get them starches going. So, if you have children, maybe make this during nap time, or
What? Oh, because you won't be able to do it.
yeah, you're like stuck here. I think that's the downside, and that's why it freaks people out, because you kind of have to like really be committed to it.
Well, listen, if you're cooking dinner, you're gonna have to sit there and watch your food anyway, so it doesn't burn.
No, but we all know that when you have children, you cook a little, and then you go a little, and then you cook a little, and then you burn something, and you gotta fix it, and it just never goes as planned.
Well, if you have a baby, you just strap them in the carrier.
Well, that's true.
And then they don't have a choice. You say, you're gonna sit here and watch this, alright? Listen here.
Watch here. See, it's starting to absorb.
You're starting to hear it.
So once you start panicking a little bit about it sticking to the pot or pan, that's probably whenever you know to start adding another spoonful in, because you're like, oh boy, I'm scared.
Oh, what do I do?
You start like really like twirling this thing around to make sure it's not sticking.
Alright, so we're gonna add in some more.
Well, must be better.
How rich and creamy that's getting. It's so buttery and oniony, but not in a bad way. I don't know what you could use if you didn't like onion.
Well, it's gotten a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It feels like.
So we're getting close to the end, so the rice is starting to swell.
And it's soaking up a lot faster than it was a little bit ago. Or feels like it is.
Well, so more of it, so we've rubbed off so much of that starch now. So more of it is getting suspended in the starch, so it just seems less liquidy as you are adding more to it. So you're gonna have more volume in the pan, but really it's gonna be absorbing slowly. Okay, now here's the question. Are we gonna add all this stock? I don't know. Do we need all the stock? Let's see how our rice is coming along.
Burn your face off.
So our rice is almost there actually. It's right under al dente, like it's still right in the middle. There's like a little crunch, but it's getting there. So we're gonna add another ladleful. Sometimes when we get to this point, I like to go by like a half ladle because I don't want to put too much in it. I think it's about there.
Yum. It's like, you can taste the onion, it tastes so buttery. I don't even know. It's like a garlic bread without the bread. Like everything that makes garlic bread delicious. Yeah. We haven't even put in the Parmesan cheese yet.
Not yet. Okay, so we're done at this point with the cooking. We're gonna go ahead and add our Parmesan cheese. So this is, it looks like a lot, but it's just 2 ounces of finely grated Parmesan. So the heat is off now. I'm gonna add that in. I want this to be a little bit thinner, so I'm gonna add in just like 1/4 of this ladle. See how silky that is? That's what you want. And creamy. You get It looks like macaroni and cheese almost. Okay, so I'm gonna taste this. The consistency is where I want it. The consistency is perfect now. We definitely need pepper, because we haven't had any of that yet. A few good grinds of pepper. And I'm just gonna add in a pinch of salt. So this is why we wait to finish seasoning it, because that Parmesan has a lot of salt in it. And this is it. This is our basic but beautiful risotto. So with this recipe, you can build on whatever you want. We're gonna use just this basic recipe, but we're gonna make it special for you. All right, so we got our mushrooms in the pan and the butter. All right, now what are we gonna do?
Cook them.
We're gonna salt them.
Yeah.
We're building our flavor. So these have just gone in, so we're gonna salt them to help coax a little of that water out too. A little more salt on there.
So squeaky.
Squeaky boys. So right now I wanna get some color on them.
Pan looks pretty dry. It's supposed to be dry.
Yes. So mushrooms are like sponges, so they've soaked up everything.
And they're squeaking around.
They're squeaky boys. I'm gonna add more butter now that that butter has been absorbed and they got some color on them. I'm gonna add more butter.
A lot more.
Like 2 more tablespoons. It's also gonna help it cool down by adding a large chunk of butter like this. See those have some nice color on there. We're gonna add in 2 sprigs of thyme. We're not gonna worry about stripping it off there. Just remember to pull it out before we eat it. Otherwise we'll be flossing.
Flossing.
I didn't say that, but grate your own Parmesan. Yeah, so we put that butter in, we lowered the heat, and now we're gonna cook it a little slower now that we've got some color on there. We're gonna try and coax some of that liquid out. By coaxing that liquid out and concentrating it, it's gonna build more flavor. And this is also really basic, so you can have whatever other flavors you want in here. You can have whatever flavors you want. A little bit of garlic would be really nice. Yes, we know you like garlic.
Some vanilla.
Yeah, why not? Some cinnamon? Nutmeg? Wow, are we on the same wavelength here? I'm gonna go ahead and add in some pepper now. Don't want our pepper to burn, so we don't want this too high. What was that for? I saw that.
Burned peppers.
Yes, pepper burns very easily.
What happens? It just gets hotter?
What? No, it tastes burnt. Like every other thing that burns, it tastes burnt. We're not cooking the mushrooms too much because we want them to be meaty.
Meaty.
Actually, I have a little reserve stock from the risotto that we didn't use, so about 1/4 of a cup. And we're gonna let that reduce down. See how we're building flavors?
Building. Construction. Box builder.
Hard hats.
Caution tape.
Cat calling.
Boots. Meow.
Boots.
Boots.
So we're gonna let that chicken stock reduce by about half.
By about half.
By about half.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I think I already knew that, but your support really means a lot.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna take our thyme out. We're gonna
Take
turn
a
this
thyme
heat
out.
off.
Heat off.
Heat off. Very
Thyme out.
important for our next step. We're gonna add even more butter.
More butter.
This is probably about a tablespoon, which is all that's left in here. You want the heat to be off when you add it in, and we are gonna stir, 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 stir constantly. These are gonna make these nice and glossy and rich. Stir, 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 stir. If you leave it on the heat, it'll break, meaning you'll get an oil slick on top of the mushrooms. All right, this is done, so we're gonna plate up the risotto.
Yay. We did it.
Here it is, the finished product.
It's so beautiful.
Yes, put it up nicely.
Didn't take us super long.
No, all that's left is tasting it.
Mmm.
That is so creamy. It's bright from the white wine too.
It's got like a chicken soup taste, like a creamy like chicken noodle soup or like chicken and dumplings. Like it's got that chicken seasoned flavoring because the stock was so reduced. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But you can really taste that like chicken, buttery, salty, and like with the cheese. It's so delicious.
And if you want to make this completely vegetarian, you can use vegetable stock too. And that would also be really good. And you'd still have rich flavors in that as well. These mushrooms, they're not completely dried out. They've soaked in a little of that chicken stock and the butter and the thyme flavor on there. We sprinkle a little bit of thyme on top.
Usually not a huge fan of mushrooms. These are cooked really well. They have like a bite to them, like a textured, meaty bite to them. And you can really taste the herbs and you can like smell it. Like it fills your mouth with the thyme.
This is the first time I've seen you taste mushrooms, or eat mushrooms rather.
I mean, I'll eat it with like hibachi when you can like put a bunch of things on your fork and kind of like, all right, those are so good. But these are really buttery. They don't feel like that weird tang that a mushroom has. That's like, ew.
What does that mean?
I don't know, there's like a tang to mushrooms sometimes.
I've never thought mushrooms were tangy.
Well, not tangy, but like, there's like that smell of like.
That's a white people thing.
I don't know.
These are so tangy.
Yeah, it's so spicy.
All right, guys, let us know what you thought of this. Also, let us know if you make it. Let us know if you ever had risotto before and if you made it yourself or you had it at a restaurant. And then let us know how you like this recipe. And if you decide not to do mushrooms, you decide to put something else on top of it, put something in it. Asparagus would be really good in there, but I'm not going to give you any more ideas. This is the only idea that you're getting. So let us know how that turns out for you. Tell your friends, like this video, leave a comment.
Yeah, thanks for watching us.
Thanks for all the support so far.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
I guess we're gonna have a send-off like this every video. We're like, oh, y'all are so sweet. But we really appreciate you.
We're really just rambling.
Yes. Okay.
We do appreciate you guys.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.